is possible. You've got work coming in, the phones are ringing off the hook, your crew is busy, your customers are paying, and your revenue is higher than it's ever been. Yet somehow you feel stressed every single time you open your banking app. You hesitate before actually making purchases, and you wonder if payroll is going to be tight. You put off decisions because you're not quite sure the money is really there. And maybe the most frustrating part is you can't point to one specific problem. You just know something feels off. So if that's you, today's episode is for you. Because most business owners assume financial chaos means they're failing, but that's usually not true. In fact, some of the most successful business owners I work with, they feel completely out of control financially before we ever start working together. And I'm talking million-dollar companies, multi-million-dollar companies, businesses that look incredibly successful from the outside. Yet the owner is lying awake at night wondering where all their money went. And the truth is, financial stress doesn't always come from a lack of revenue. Many times, and most times I'm going to say, it comes from a lack of clarity. And those are two very different problems. One, of course, requires more sales, right? The other requires more visibility. And today I want to talk about why your business feels out of control financially, what's actually causing it, and what you can do to start taking back that control. Because financial peace doesn't come from just sitting there crossing your fingers and hoping things work out. It comes from knowing what's coming in. It comes from knowing what's going out, knowing what's working, and knowing what isn't. So let's start with the first reason that business owners lose control. And that's because they manage their business from their Most business owners I talk to are busy. They're booked out, they've got a great reputation, they're doing everything right. But when they actually sit down and look at their numbers, something doesn't quite add up. The profit doesn't match the effort, and it's usually not a sales problem. It's a visibility problem. I'm Shannon Howard. I work with HVAC owners, electricians, plumbers, and contractors to uncover hidden profit, fix those leaks, and help you keep more of what you earn. This is Profit Isn't an Accident. Bank account. One of the biggest mistakes that I see owners make is using their bank balance as their financial reporting system. They log in, they check their account, right? They see money, they feel good, they spend money, then they wonder why things get tight later. Does this sound familiar? Here's the problem with that. Your bank account tells you what happened. It does not tell you what's about to happen. That money that's sitting in your account, it may already be spoken for. You have things like payroll and payroll taxes on top of that, right? Sales tax and materials. If you have debt, you've got payments. You have to have insurance, I'm sorry. So you've got insurance renewals, you've got equipment repairs, and you know what? You still got to pay your vendors. Then we talk about quarterly taxes, and those future obligations don't disappear just because they haven't hit the account yet. And that's where I see a lot of business owners get blindsided. The account today might say 75K. And so you as the owner, you feel safe. Then over the next 3 weeks, payroll hits. Your vendors get paid. Your quarterly insurance renews. Your taxes are drafted. And suddenly you're freaking out because there's only 11,000 left. Now your panic sets in. Nothing actually changed between the time that you checked your bank account a few weeks ago to today. The bills were still coming. The owner just didn't see them then. And that lack of visibility is what has created the stress all along. And this is why I tell my clients, a healthy bank account does not automatically mean that you have a healthy business. And also, on the reverse, a tight bank account doesn't always mean that you're in trouble. You need context, you need forecasts, and you need that visibility. Otherwise, you're driving your business by looking in the rearview mirror only. Imagine trying to drive from up here in Alaska to Florida while only looking behind you. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I had to put it in that context because that's exactly how many business owners run their finances. They're making decisions based on what already happened instead of looking ahead at what's coming next. The businesses that feel financially calm aren't necessarily making them more money. They're simply seeing further ahead. And that brings us to the second reason that businesses feel like financially out of control. Most owners don't actually know where their profit is going. And so I like to talk about the missing money problem, right? This is the conversation I have almost every single week. The owner says, Shannon, we're doing $1 million a year, or we've grown 30%, or we've never been busier. And then they ask me, so why does it feel like there's never enough money left? And this is a great question because revenue does not equal profit. And profit, at the end of the day, come on, people, it is not cash. And those three things are completely different. And I see a lot of people try to just lump sum them all into this perfect little picture, right? So let's say your business brings in 100K this month. It sounds great. But I got to ask you, what happened to that money? We're talking materials, we're talking labor, we're talking vehicles and fuel, right? Then add on top of that, you've got software to run your business, your insurance, your office expenses, your merchant fees for taking credit card payments. Don't forget the taxes, the debt, the equipment, the overhead, the owner draws. And suddenly that pretty 100K starts shrinking very, very quickly. And the problem is that most owners never actually track where it shrinks. They just feel the outcome, right? They feel stressed, they feel frustrated, they feel broke. But at the end of the day, they can't identify why. And this is where profit leaks become extremely dangerous. Not because they're huge, but because they're invisible. Think of it. It's a few $100s here, a few $1,000s there, maybe an underpriced service, maybe an inefficient crew. Then let's add in the software subscription that nobody uses, a supplier that's quietly raised their prices, and a job that's producing terrible margins. Individually, these little pieces don't seem significant. But when you throw all of those together, they can destroy profitability in a heartbeat. And when your profit disappears without explanation, your business starts feeling chaotic because now every decision feels uncertain. You don't know what's working. You don't know what's hurting you. You don't know where to focus. So everything feels urgent. Everything feels important. And that's freaking exhausting. Financial control starts with understanding where your money is actually flowing. Not where you think it's flowing, not where it should be flowing, but where it is flowing. And that's a huge difference. And it leads up to the third issue, the one that almost nobody talks about. We're talking about the visibility problem, but we're also talking about how to fix it, okay? Most business owners don't have a revenue problem. They have a visibility problem. Let me say that again because a lot of people confuse the two, okay? Most businesses don't have a revenue problem. They have a visibility problem. Because when you can see clearly what's happening financially, your decisions become easier. You know which jobs to take because they're the profitable ones. You know where your cash is going. You know what's coming next month. And you also know when to hire. You know when to invest in your business. You know when to wait. And you stop operating from fear. You finally start operating from cold, hard facts. And that's what financial control actually looks like. It's not perfection, it's just clarity. The goal isn't to know every penny, although as a number nerd, I like that. But the goal is to know enough to make those confident decisions. If your business feels financially out of control right now, here's where I'd start. First, stop managing solely from your bank account. Second, Identify your largest expenses and understand what's driving them. And third, look at your actual profitability. I don't want you just looking at revenue anymore. Fourth, create a cash flow forecast, even if it's simple. And fifth, start measuring your business consistently. If you need help with any of this, you know where to find me. Because what gets measured gets improved. And what gets ignored eventually becomes a problem. And here's what I want you to remember. Financial stress is not always a sign that your business is failing. Many times it's just that wake-up call that your business has outgrown the systems that you're using to manage it. And the solution isn't always working harder. The solution is creating clarity. Because when you finally have clarity, you make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, your profit improves. And when your profit improves, darling, everything gets easier. That's why I always say revenue feeds your ego and profit feeds your family. So if this episode has helped you, make sure you subscribe to Profit Isn't an Accident. And if you know another contractor or business owner who's working hard but still feels financially overwhelmed, send them this episode. I'll see you next time. If this hit, there is a reason. Most businesses aren't broken. They just don't have clear visibility into where the money's actually going. So if you want help finding it, grab my free Profit Edge playbook or book a quick session with me. You'll find everything in the show notes. And if you haven't already, follow the show so you don't miss what's next.